Rode microphones are the official microphones of Be Terrific. Find out more at rodemic.com. Welcome to the Michael Artsis Show. I'm Michael Artsis. Thanks so much for joining us. I am so excited today, as I am like every day for this show. You know, first of all, we had Stephen Baker on yesterday. How much fun was that? We had the Lombardi Trophy in studio here. We almost traded a Lombardi for an Emmy. Then we almost put the Lombardi Trophy up against the winner of the video game. We played some Genesis, and that was exciting, not only because it took so much configuring to get it on air, but actually playing it was fun. And then we played NHL 15 on PlayStation 4. We had a lot of fun, and then we hung out with Steve afterwards, and I think he's going to do a lot more with us, which I'm really excited about. Stephen Baker, the touchdown maker. We talked drones. We did all sorts of stuff, and we got great behind the scenes and great stories out of him. Hopefully you liked it. The feedback has been great, but keep it coming. And speaking of feedback, you can reach out to us at Be Terrific TV on Twitter and Instagram. You can also email us, of course. We love email, especially positive email, and especially feedback, what you want to hear, see, and your terrific news. We want to start a terrific newscast, so send us your terrific news to connect@beterrific.com. Don't forget about my favorite way to connect. It's in real time. It's our IRC chat. Go to the bottom of the live video player on beterrific.com/live. Create a login. It's free. It's easy. And then interact not only with other audience members, but also interact with us in real time. Not only when we're doing a show, we'll ask your questions, by the way, and read your statements, but not only that, but also throughout the day. 24 hours a day, we check in with the IRC chat. So you're going to want to go in there, be in there, and stay in there. And, you know, it's really amazing. You can also call us up if you want, 201-735-7711, 201-735-7711. You are what make Be Terrific special. Your feedback is great, and your watching, your viewing is so amazing. We love you guys. Thank you so much for doing it. By the way, I want to announce a couple birthdays today. Good friend of mine, Darryl Strawberry, went around the clock one more time. So happy birthday, D. Straw. Sent him a text before on behalf of the whole Be Terrific team and crew. He was very excited to get that, and he said he loves us all, including you guys, too. So thank you, D, and happy birthday. And, of course, another D, Daniel Jacobs, my nephew. He's going to start video gaming with us next week when he comes into town. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. He's taking spring break here, so you'll meet him. And Daniel Jacobs turns 16 today. I think if it's official, he can drive now. I don't know. I have to find that out. But congratulations and happy birthday. All right, we've got a great show. I am so excited about this. Joining us is This Week in Sciences, Dr. Kiki. Dr. Kiki, thank you so much for joining us. You have such an amazing following. I've just got to know, how did you get into doing this? Because you started doing this in 1999. And back in 1998, I wanted to start an internet radio station, which I kind of did, called Hey Listen Radio. And doing this, though, was so hard back then, especially if you weren't a TV radio personality or person. How did you get into this?
I started with radio. That's where I started, college radio. So I was a grad student at the time at UC Davis, and my friends and I had been talking science back and forth to each other, drinking beers, having a good time, and we, jokingly said, "Hey, we should be on the radio. There's not enough science on the radio." Went to the college radio station, proposed the idea of a science show, and they liked it. And so that's where I started.
That's amazing. I would think that when you propose the idea of a radio, a science show on the radio at a college station, they're like, "Whoa, hold on a second. We want you to spin music. We want you to talk with the sports teams." I would imagine that getting the idea, because first of all, a science radio show in general, I think, is hard to pitch, let alone doing it at a college radio station. You got no pushback. You just got, "We love it. Do it."
Absolutely. I mean, non-commercial public radio stations have a mandate by the government to have a certain number of hours of what are called public affairs programs. Public affairs programs fall under the category of things like science, things that educate people on issues of the day and of society. So they needed to fill hours, and they needed stuff that wasn't sports, that wasn't music, and that's what we did.
Well, I think it's very interesting how you've parlayed it into This Week in Science. You've got such a great following. In your mind, how has it grown over the years and morphed into what you do now? You're live on YouTube every week. You've got a
Hmm.
cast of characters. I want to get into the whole everything. I want to talk about everything, but how, in your mind, how has it morphed and changed?
We have morphed and changed with the technology as it's become available, and that's really been the key to how we've grown. So we started out just as a simple terrestrial radio show. But then when RSS streams became available, we had already started recording the show on cassette tapes, and then we started recording them as MP3 files on mini discs. We just made a website and started putting these files up on the website. RSS feed came along. We turned those files into an RSS feed so that people could download them. iTunes started their iTunes directory. That's when we really exploded into the podcasting scene, when so many podcasts started to really become popular because they were much more easily searchable to a mass audience. And so we got into the iTunes directory as soon as it was up. That grew our audience, 100-fold from where we were. And then beyond that, it was social media. Social media started, and we were able to start communicating with our audience in a completely new way. And now we have Google Hangouts on air. There are a number of other streaming services, but we use the Hangouts on air, and that enables us to do a live broadcast once a week, 8 p.m. Wednesday nights, Pacific time, and from there that becomes a YouTube channel that people can watch the archived shows on. We also take the audio and turn that into our podcast. The podcast is still going. And then we do other things. Now we're making other short videos and we're just having fun. It's so great.
It is a lot of fun, and it's a lot of hard work, though. It's not easy, especially, taking that and then, working it into other forms. By the way, a good friend of
Yeah.
yours is in the chat room, Callie Lewis. She
Hey,
says to say
Callie.
hello, so I want to do that. She's awesome. She's a good friend of mine as well, and of course of Be Terrifics. But you guys talk science, and you kind of talk tech too. But I think you got into science at a time where it was, especially talking science, where I think, correct me if I'm wrong, just like Callie got into tech at a time that was a lot harder for women to get into tech, science was a lot harder for women to get into science, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was really lucky in my background, my education, the people who were my mentors. I had a lot of wonderful, strong female mentors who supported what I wanted to do, and the male mentors also supported what I wanted to do. So when I was, as a grad student, said, "Hey, I'm not going to become an academic researcher. I'm not going to look for an academic job. I want to go into talking about science." They supported me in that. And so that enabled me to enabled me to do something that maybe other women might have felt afraid to jump into on their own. Um,
But it couldn't have
be,
been easy. There's no way in the world that this was an easy journey for you, especially in the beginning, and that you probably had a lot of people who didn't take you seriously. Obviously,
yeah.
everybody takes you seriously now, but I'm sure that you had a lot of people who didn't take you seriously.
Oh, yeah. I was a bouncy, bubbly young girl, out of college. I'm going to talk about science. Here I am, ex cheerleader, wanting to talk about science. Who wants to take me seriously? But it was I worked really hard, and I showed people that I knew what I was talking about, that I had been doing science. So I had my boots on the ground in the trenches doing science, and I had that experience that would enable me to draw from it so I could talk about it and teach people about it. And my way of presenting it was easier for people to take than, a cold hard lecture droning on and on.
What was it about science that really got you going? And at what age did you realize you like science? I mean, you mentioned cheerleading. I mean, were you full out cheerleader? Were you in high
I,
school like
I was
the
everything. I was a band geek. I was a cheerleader. I was
But
a
see,
gymnast from a young age, and
that's
cheerleading was kind of like, oh, I quit gymnastics in high school, so what else am I going to do? When else am I going to do backflips? I'll be a cheerleader. Um,
That's so interesting because
yeah.
band camp and the band with science seem to go hand in hand. And
Yeah.
but sports and cheerleading and science don't usually go hand in hand. And I like that. I mean, there's a lot of shows today like Sports Science on ESPN where they're kind of marrying science and sports, and I
Hmm.
don't know why they don't usually go hand in hand, but it's interesting. And so you were a full out cheerleader, you were a gymnast, so you were an athlete, and yet you were into band, which is awesome. But then you were really into science. But
Yeah.
what was it where you were like, I love this?
Um, I was always into science. That was just, I liked my dramatic, creative things to do, but I always came back to like challenging my brain by learning about how the world works. And I just have always, my parents were great about inspiring me to be curious. And so I've always asked questions and I've always wanted to know more about how things work. And that's just what's always driven me. There was just no question when I was going from high school to college and trying to figure out what I was going to do. There was no question that I was going to go into the sciences. When I first started college, I was on an environmental sciences track, and I think I wanted to work for Greenpeace, maybe get an environmental law degree, save the whales, something like that. But it morphed and changed throughout my academic career into what I do now.
Well, I think you've taken a good path, certainly. What is your favorite part of science in general? Like, I know you kind of cover it all, but if you could nail down one part, or if you had to pick one part, what's your favorite part?
My favorite part is the brain and behavior. So basically, what I my PhD degree was in neurophysiology is really what where I just get excited when we figure out how our brains work and how this mushy gelatinous structure in our heads controls everything that we do, that it takes in all the inputs from the world around us and allows us to function and survive in the world. I think it's just brilliant, and I want to know as much about it as possible.
I think that's so interesting. I think that the brain is very interesting because you talk about, what we're learning about head trauma in the NFL and in other sports and in general right now. And then you talk about things like mind control and see how maybe we can
Yeah.
do some things mind control wise. I just rode the IO Hawk at Toy Fair. It's a skateboard that you literally control kind of by subtle movements in your body, but you really have to use your mind. And when you get it, you feel like you're doing a Jedi mind trick. It was unbelievable. And then there are people who
That's
are
cool.
at CES putting these things on your head, and you're controlling race cars that are going down a track just by thinking and focusing. And you can see when you have more focus, the difference between when you don't have more focus. Then you kind of think, is this real, or is somebody pushing a button somewhere else activating this? And am I really controlling it? And I think it's so interesting. And then you talk about like virtual reality with Oculus Rift and all these other things coming into play. Like, how is that going to affect our thoughts and our minds and our fantasy and reality and all this stuff? So the mind is fascinating, and I really also believe that you can do anything you set your mind to. So there's so many complexities and so many things, and you see people overcome horrible afflictions just because of their mind.
Hmm. Absolutely. On This Week in Science, our tagline at the end of the show is "It's all in your head." And it's because it really is. Everything that you know, everything that you think you know, everything that you experience, you are experiencing it in your head because of your conscious mind. And so it's just this real question of, how plastic is the brain to be able to come back from damage, to be able to respond to a traumatic experience and heal itself? What is the ability of the mind to actually, you know, regenerate damaged synapses? How can we do that? Even go so far as, what is the ability of the brain to birth new neurons throughout our lives into adulthood, into old age, even allowing us to gain new memories, new skills? These are all questions that we really are just starting to tickle the underbellies of.
We,
It's
I,
just
I,
starting to tickle at it.
I think that's the interesting thing is we don't know as much as we think we know about the brain, and we're still learning a lot. I think you bring up a great point there, and I think it's so interesting. Like, Dr. John Sarno talks about mind over back pain, right?
Hmm.
And it's basically mind over matter.
Hmm.
And it's so interesting. Do you subscribe to that? Do you believe that unless it's structural, most back pain is in your own head, and that you can really overcome?
I think yes and no. There are inflammatory aspects of things like back pain where muscles and nerves, blood vessels, even there's inflammation that occurs that will uh, lead to pain, to chronic pain, even. And there's a lot we don't understand about it. But what we do know is that much of pain has to do with experience. And experience will tell whether or not you're going to be able to deal with pain poorly or well. And then beyond that, even how you can mentally manage your own pain. And there are many, many examples and experiments of people using meditation and other guided mental techniques to be able to decrease the amount of pain they're in and be able to deal with it.
I really have to agree with you there, and I think that you're really on top of that. I want to give the chat room, the IRC chat here, a little love, a little shout out. Digital Phil says, "I love you, Dr. Kiki." Jenny
Thanks, Digital Phil.
Jenny says, and Digital Phil says he used to have insane back pain, but it's all in the mind.
Mhm.
And Jenny says, Dr. Kiki, yo.
Yo,
And Paul Dixon is here watching you as well, and very
cool.
happy. How about this? I went up against this woman, Brianne McLaughlin. She is a two-time U.S. Olympic hockey goalie.
Hmm.
And we went against each other on the ice. I've played hockey my whole life, and I had 10 penalty shots on her to see if I could score. And most of the people around me, including our audience, didn't think I could get one in. And I believed. I just believed. And I feel like a large part of me scoring 3 of 10 and having a fourth hit the crossbar and drop in front of the goal line was really my desire, my sheer
Yeah.
will, and me willing it to happen, and focus and determination. Do you think that plays a large part in it, that I could overcome this Goliath, basically, who's this amazing goaltender, just because obviously I have to have some skill, but just because I really wanted it to happen and I willed it to happen?
I don't think you can necessarily will something to happen. However, you say that you've been playing hockey your entire life. Your body has muscle memory. You've scored many goals. You know what it feels like your brain has visualized and put into its own synaptic pathways the visualization of that puck going from the end of your stick all the way into the net. You've done that so many times. Your body knows how to do it, your brain knows how to do it. And so when there was that, you judge people, and there are things that the gestalt, the knowing, the understanding that yes, you wanted this really badly. So you were focused, which made your attention directed on her behaviors, on how she was, on her posture, on her small muscle movements to gauge which way to go, how to hit it, where to put the puck, you
I'm
know?
so blown away by you saying that, because literally my explanation was the way I played. And if you watch this show and you watch me break it down afterwards, I said that the way I play, I don't want to size up an opponent beforehand. I refuse to look at them. And the way I play is I thought about it. I really did, and I visualized it. I knew kind of where I had to go or where I wanted to go. But really, I didn't want to get too much in my head about it. I wanted to come down the ice with no thoughts. I wanted my eyes to find the holes and my
Hmm.
hands, tell my brain and my hands to react. And I felt if I could control the puck and put it where my eyes told me to put it, I would be able to score. And I really believe that that's actually how I did it. Is I didn't I laser focused, I blocked everything else out, and I literally let my eyes tell my hands where to put the puck.
Yeah, you trusted your experience.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think you couldn't I think you're onto something, Doc. I think I couldn't have said it better myself. All right, you do taekwondo. That is unbelievable to
Right.
me.
Unbelievable. Why?
I don't know. I just you're a science gal. You're a taekwondo gal too. Like, that's what are you, a black belt? What are you? Where, and are there belts in taekwondo? I'm so ignorant
Yes.
to this. I know karate and tai chi a little bit. I don't actually know how to do them. I just know of them. I wanted to take martial arts as a kid so badly. My parents wouldn't let me.
So there are belts in Taekwondo,
Yeah.
and it's a wonderful sport. I being a growing up as a gymnast and always being interested in fitness and athletics. This was just a natural way, a natural movement for me personally, because it has a competitive aspect to it, but at the same time, it's very personally focused. So it's all my personal drive for improvement, which just it really resonates with me. Plus, I get to kick people on top of the head. So
What, do you do the beating or do you get beat up or both?
both, absolutely both.
And 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 what about the damage you take, or do you wear headgear, and is the headgear enough?
Oh yeah, there's the rules in the sparring that I normally do. I'm a lightweight spar. I'm not super serious. Is no headshots, but you do wear a mouth guard and a headpiece just in case, shin guards, and a chest protector as well.
You that's I feel like that's cheating a little. You're wearing shin guards and a chest protector. I mean,
Yeah, you don't have to. The chest protector is nice, but I will say I was wearing a chest protector once and still got my rib cracked because someone got a kick in right underneath.
and did you finish?
That was my bad.
Did
I didn't have my guard up.
did you finish the fight, or did you stop?
Oh, I finished the fight.
Yes, that's what I like
Yeah,
to hear. Now,
yeah,
now, what about the? So that's mind over matter right there, because you could have easily been given in and been like, "Oh, that hurts too much. I can't go on." But that's
yeah.
determination and mind over matter, continuing to go, right?
Right.
And what
Exactly.
about like a boxing match? We got Manny Pacquiao coming up against Mayweather. Is this something where the guy who wants it more can really overcome and can you see like Ali, those that old footage of Ali, and he'd lean against the ropes and just take punishment after punishment. You see the Rocky movies, obviously fictional,
Hmm.
but the whole rope a dope thing. Is it true that you can just will yourself to win that kind of thing, where you can have mind over matter if you just want it more? Is that possible there, and in Taekwondo and these other things? Is it
Yeah.
possible?
Sure. I mean, how much you want it is going to determine how long you're able to take a beating, how much pain you're able to withstand, because, like I said, it's all in your head. The one who is more motivated is going to be the one stays standing longer. But, no amount of motivation or willpower is going to fight against, that massive headshot that clocks you and knocks you out. So there's the technique, there's the experience, and there's also the drive.
I, okay, excellent. I think that that's what makes it interesting, especially a
Yeah.
sport like boxing, because the thing is that a guy who really is overmatched can overcome in some cases, and maybe not in others. I mean, ultimately that blow that really knocks you out, you can't really will that not to happen. You can't prevent that other than blocking it. If it
Yeah.
literally lands, it's going to knock you out. You can get up from the canvas maybe, but you can't prevent that from knocking you out. You've
Hmm.
also done food science, a
Right.
show with food science. What about food science? I'm big into this idea because I believe I've started to eat a lot differently in the last few years, and I think it really what you put in your body really. I never thought that. I know when I was a kid, I was like, whatever. And
Eat
here I am,
whatever.
but I really think today that it makes a huge difference, and I see how my body reacts and how I feel, not only what I eat, how much I eat, and all of that stuff. Do you like talk about that?
So, food science is just really generally interesting from how the chemistry of how different ingredients interact to create the food that we eat, to how our body reacts to all the different ingredients, the different foods to allow us to run. So, the general category of nutrition science, I think, is just interesting in general. I've always tried to be like what you would say is a clean eater, where I was vegetarian for many many years.
Hmm.
I don't really eat cheeses or dairy products,
That's my
but
weakness right there, by the way.
yeah, I did try to be vegan once when I was in college,
Yeah.
and then I went on a 3 month long cheese binge. It was terrible.
I mean, come on. What's better than Wisconsin cheddar that's aged, sharp cheddar? I mean, you just can't. How can you give that up? And some of these mozzarella cheeses. I keep.
And now there are these amazing goat and sheep cheeses that are much more readily available. They're fantastic, but everything in moderation. When I was pregnant with my son, though, I found that I didn't have enough energy. I wasn't
Yeah.
able to keep going the way that I had been previously on my just vegetarian diet that I thought was perfectly adequate. So I had to add meat to my diet. I started eating chicken.
Okay.
and increased the amount of fish that I ate. And so since then, I still eat chicken, although I try not to eat too much of it.
Do you think we're going to get to a point where we replace meat completely because it's not sustainable? It doesn't make sense from a business model. Guys like Bill Gates are investing tons and tons of money into the business of not having meat and having alternatives. I'm talking not only soy, but all the other stuff, tempeh and seitan. And
Yeah.
can these things give us enough protein without negative effects and the taste and the flavor and texture even of these things that we could actually see this happening in the future?
You're getting at the question of the population capacity, the carrying capacity of the planet, and sustainability is all derived from that. How much land can we use to grow these cattle that we like to eat? What I foresee is that as the population grows, it will become less and less sustainable to have large areas of land for use just for cattle or for use for raising crops to feed cattle. And so, what you're going to find are meats will not go away, but they will become much more expensive. And you'll find them more so like the Kobe beef from Japan, where it's a very, very expensive delicacy that people who have money will be able to afford. But the majority of people will only be able to have meat once in a while, or they will eat a lab grown meat or they will eat a meat substitute. And that's pretty much what's going to end up happening if the population continues to grow the way that it is.
And do you think that there's anything wrong with that? Can we get enough protein from the seitan and
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
You can get plenty of protein from that stuff.
So it's not a bad alternative. I mean, to me, it
No.
seems like it's actually pretty good. You don't have to harm animals. You don't have to be unsustainable, and it tastes good. And if you can get the protein, why not? Why wouldn't we do this?
I don't know. Why wouldn't we?
Right. And I mean,
that's
obviously,
a, that's a that's a that's a human psychology question. That's a cultural, societal
well,
question
and it's
of what are people willing to give up?
do you
Because I know I mean, it's American culture, especially. It's like people want their steak, they
well,
want their red meat, their potato. That's it.
yeah, do you remember the Dennis Leary "No Cure for Cancer" album? I mean, that's
Hmm.
how I was growing up. I listened to that. I want to, bring me a cow raw and I'll cook it in
Yeah.
front of me at the table. And now I'm like, wait a second, why? What am I doing? What am I accomplishing by that? And
Hmm.
maybe it's actually hurting me physically and
Yep.
hurting an animal and hurting the environment and hurting other people and hurting the planet. I mean, it's just amazing the chain reaction that creates, even from the guys who have to go and actually take care of this animal as far as killing it. They go crazy. They lose their minds because they're killing 10 and 15, 20 animals a day. And then they're up to here in blood. So it's
Yep.
really interesting across the board when you look at what the effect is. It seems silly when you can do something that tastes kind of as good. Maybe you can even get some cases better, maybe worse, but it's kind of as good. The texture is good, and the
Yeah.
reality is you feel a ton better after doing it. And now you've got guys like I said, like Bill Gates, investing a ton of money into these things, and I think you're going to see manufactured food. Hopefully, we don't see the GMOs and all that stuff in it, and they aren't all about the profit, and they're about actually creating good, healthy food for people. But I think that you are going to see it. What's this deal that you kick Justin Jackson in the shins when he gets a little
Ah.
crazy? Is this the truth? He's one of your co-hosts. You have two co-hosts. You got this beautiful young girl. What's her name?
Blair Bazdarich.
Okay, and I got to find out how these people came into your life and everything. But is it true that you kicked this guy in the shins?
I have been known to kick him in the
And
shins.
why him?
Justin is a troublemaker. I love Justin so much. He's just fantastic. He's been a co-host on Twist since 2005, so about 10 years now. And he's always been the guy who keeps poking at certain things or says things that are off color that during a radio conversation, sometimes I just can't find a place for it.
Do you
And
kick him hard? Like, does he need shin guards or does he wear shin guards? Have we
I
broken
don't
a
I
shin
would
yet?
like to think I don't kick him that hard. It's
Yeah.
more of like a tap,
It's
a
a
shin
tap, like
tap.
almost like a little slap to say this is inappropriate.
That really? You said that? And now that was
Yeah.
when were broadcasting together in the same radio studio. Now we are virtually separated. He's in Davis. I'm in San Francisco at the moment. And so the shin kicks don't happen like they used to.
What about how did you hook up with this guy? How did he get onto This Week in Science?
He was persistent.
That's so like he just called you up or emailed you and said, "I want to be part of this." That's it?
No, I knew him.
Yeah.
He's a friend of mine. He's what you'd call a Davis Townie, and so I was living in Davis still, doing the show, and I had a couple of other hosts, and then they moved. They couldn't co-host anymore, and I was without a co-host, and Justin kind of was there piping up, raising his hand, going, "Oh, me," and I was like, well, okay, I'm gonna try this other guy." And then the other guy didn't work out so much.
It's
And
a
then
hard thing. Finding a co-host is
it's
really
hard.
hard. Everybody thinks they should have a show. Everybody thinks that they're good enough for a show. Everybody
Yeah.
thinks they can co-host with you. It's really a hard, and it's a dance. That's why I do it solo. Um,
There you
now,
go. But you have guests you can talk
no,
to.
exactly. That's true. Although sometimes I actually do it solo, and sometimes I have Pete chimes in. But yes, it's very it is hard. It's a hard dance. So that's interesting. And then you've got what? I'm sorry. What's the girl's name?
Blair, our other co-host,
Yeah,
Blair.
Blair. I
Yes.
like that name. So you've got two beautiful women and this one good-looking guy, and you talk science, which is kind of amazing because you would think, I don't know, the old way of thinking is the science teacher and the people in science. Yeah, I mean, come on, even watch The Americans. They're like a little dorkier or nerdier or geekier. Like the show The Americans back in the takes place in the 80s with these two Russian spies living in America as married couple. The people that they enlist to go into the headquarters of Lockheed Martin or Grumman to go get stealth secrets are the nerdier guys. And you got good-looking people.
I think that that's the key. I mean, yes, there's a place for nerdy people. There's a place for not nerdy people. We can all like science, and you can, like to dress up, and I don't
No,
know,
I
as a
think that
girl, put
there's
on makeup and
I think there's a
still get
place.
your nerd on.
I think there's a place for everybody, and I think that like we welcome everybody. Geek Beat welcomes everybody. Like we
Yeah.
love everybody. But it's just interesting that you have done this and can do it, and are kind of changing part of the image of science as you go. What's Blair's deal? How did you hook up with Blair?
I was looking for an intern, and she sent me an email and was one of a couple of people that I interviewed to talk to about doing the internship. And I really liked her. We hit it off pretty quickly, and so I invited her in. And at first, she just sat on the sidelines and typed up our show notes as the shows aired. Then we brought her in to start doing a story here and a story there, and eventually she got so that she was in the show and didn't have time to do the show notes anymore. And I was like, I think you're a co-host now. But we've given her own segment. It's Blair's Animal Corner, and she focuses on animal related news. So some of her specialties are invertebrate sex and
What? Huh? What? Huh?
invertebrate sex.
I thought we were taking this strict right now. Like,
How
what is
bugs do
that?
it.
What is that?
How squids do it, how bugs do it, things that don't have vertebrae.
How do squids do it?
Well, some squid and
I've always wanted
octopuses,
to know
they have a mating arm. So, like, one of their tentacles is actually a mating arm that has a sperm tube that can transfer gametes
I wish I had a
from.
mating arm. That would be so cool. I mean, it'd just be
They
so
went
much
they just
easier. Like,
plug
hey,
right
baby,
in.
come here.
Mating arm, plug in. There you
Yeah.
go.
I always wanted to know how squids do it. How do bugs do it? How do insects do it? That's another one, right?
Yeah, and it's very different across different species, and so that's why it's a really fun topic.
How
One
do
of the great ones that Blair brings up sometimes is traumatic insemination, where the male of the species will have some kind of implement that just stabs the female, like
Wow.
impaling her so that they can transfer their sperm.
Sounds like a Todd McFarlane comic book.
Yeah.
How do fish do it?
There's craziness in the invertebrate world, I tell you.
or some Japanese anime. How
Yeah.
does a fish do it? I mean, they don't like go like this, right? And then does one fish swim upside down then, or what? How do they do it?
So very often, fish will lay eggs in a little scrape on the bottom of the
Not
area of water where
not
they
as
live.
fun.
So they will eke out a little nesting spot for their eggs, and they will, I guess, put their eggs in there and lay their eggs in there. And the male comes by and will, I guess, deposit the sperm.
Wow, that's not as exciting.
It's
I
not
was
as
kind of
exciting. There are many different ways. I mean, there's some invertebrate aquatic species that just release into the like coral. They just release their gametes into the water and just kind of let them go and hope that they meet up with the other sex's gametes and make new baby coral.
it's much more interesting to think of two jaws trying to get together and seeing that video on National Geographic. Never
Two
going to happen.
jaws.
Yeah, two great whites. Could you
Right.
imagine two great whites going at it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that could
just
be interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's the wonderful thing is like across the animal kingdom, any way that you can think that sex could possibly happen, it's happening that way. It's
I
crazy.
mean, my imagination apparently isn't that good. All right, so now talking, you have a kid, right? And a husband, obviously. You have a
Yes.
husband and a kid. How'd you meet your husband?
College. We've known each other
College.
since college.
Wow. And you said, let me show you the science lab. What was he doing?
That's right. He was pre-med in college, but he's since gotten away from the medical side of things and he got into technology and advertising.
Nice.
You
I,
know,
I guess that works out well with the show, too. Does he help with the show at all, especially advertisers and stuff?
yeah, sometimes he does. Yeah.
Very nice.
He's not like an all the time partner because he's a very busy person also, but he's definitely a huge support.
And how about you have a son?
Yes, he's 4 years old.
Wow. Congratulations. I have a
Thanks.
21-month-old. It's just the most
Oh,
amazing
great.
experience, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just fantastic. And that, my interest in the brain, it was just a dream to watch. It's a dream to watch him grow up, learn how to walk, learn how to talk, learn how to do everything. Like watching his brain develop in
Yeah.
front of me. It's so cool.
It really is. Like when I see that with Jack, my son's name is Jack, and he's 21 months. He's just at the point of speaking a little. He's trying to get some words out, but he understands everything.
Yeah.
And just watching him figure things out and things he couldn't do yesterday, he masters today. It's unreal watching a young child grow like this and be like a sponge, and then he emulates everything. It's unbelievable. It's really like magical. That's
Yeah.
what it is. It's magical. Did that really spur you on with brain, with studying the brain and stuff? And how did that change your view on brain and science?
Having a child,
Yeah.
um, I don't know that it has changed my view of the brain and science all that much. It just gave me, a personal, I felt like I'm doing an experiment,
But
you
it had to
know?
give you it had to give you a little bit more perspective or change your perspective a little because I've been around young kids before and I was a young kid myself once.
Yeah.
But then when you see him go through it, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
I don't know. It changes your perspective a little, does it not?
I think so. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't not be changed in your outlook by having a child.
Mhm.
There's just so much about having a child and how you exist in the world in respect to them
Mhm.
that, it changes everything.
What does it take to put the show together every week? I mean, it can't just be one day. I know that. The viewers don't know that. You don't just turn on, all right, here we go. Let's go. All
Bam,
right.
bam, 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 show done. Yes.
No, you
There
got to
it
put a
is.
lot of work in. What do you do to prepare? And does it take up your entire week?
It doesn't take up my entire week, but it does take up a little bit of time pretty much every day to be able to get the show together. So throughout the week, all of the hosts are looking for stories that we want to talk about. So we're constantly reading and constantly looking for science news and science stories that are fun and interesting and that we think we'll have a good conversation about. We have a show rundown that I manage, in which it just basically lets us know who's going to talk next and what stories we're going to talk about. And so we put the stories that we're going to pick into that show rundown. And then we use that to actually do the show and produce the show. And then after the fact, you think, oh, hey, show's over. That's when my work has really started. We had our show last night and I still have to take the audio from the show and edit it for the podcast. I also have to edit it for non-commercial public radio
Wow.
because we are on some radio stations, and so I have to edit for the amount of time that we're allotted and no commercials and all that kind of stuff. Additionally, I have to do all of the social media that is involved in telling people that the show is out there. So I'm constantly doing something, and like I've got an email chain going right now trying to coordinate an interview for next week. So when we have interviews, I do all the production for that as well.
You're a very busy woman. That is not easy, by the way. And then like editing the show is probably the hardest thing because you gotta pick out what's not good to edit out, but then sometimes it doesn't make sense, and you gotta
Yeah.
figure that out. And cutting for time for TV or for radio has gotta be really challenging. And then you've got to get all these different formats for the podcast, for everything. It's an enormous undertaking, and I want everybody to appreciate what you're doing and how you
Thanks.
put it together. You do a wonderful job in that. You've done a lot of great stuff because of the show and with the show, even including you've been on WNBC, which is right here in New York. Well, we're
Yep.
in actually New Jersey, but it's in the New York metro area with Dr. Max Gomez, and you've done all sorts of fun stuff. Is there one moment that you pull out and you go, "This was an amazing experience, and I can't believe I did it," and wow, I got to pinch myself, or that was super fun?
Yeah. So one of the most amazing moments, I mean, I've had so many cool experiences, but I think the one of the most amazing moments was being able to interview Al Gore for the anniversary of An Inconvenient Truth. It was for a Google Hangout that was produced by Google.
Did you thank him for inventing the internet?
I did not. But I did scold him for not listening. I asked a question and then he started, yeah, it was a question where he just had to answer people's questions with yes or no. And he couldn't,
Well,
he couldn't.
he's a politician. He's got an agenda.
I know, which was great. So it was like, you just have, and he did not say yes or no. He just started going on this long-winded thing. And I was like, nope, nope, yes or no, yes or no. And so I got to kind of scold him a little
Nice.
bit. My friends thought that was funny.
And did he finally give you a yes or no?
Yes, he did.
I love that. I love that.
did.
I don't let politicians get away either because well, I don't let anybody. If I ask them a question and they avoid the question, I just come back to the question. It drives me nuts. Like, answer the question. You could talk about anything you want, but just make sure at some point in that answer you answer the question. And so I love that. That's phenomenal. What about the future of the show? Where's the show going? What are you guys doing with the future?
So, the future of the show, we are hoping to do more live events because we just did, I think it was our second ever live event, but it was in New York City in January and had so much fun with that. It's like, we
Where
have to
was
do more of
that?
these. Huh?
Where was that? And where was my invite?
Yeah, it was at a little theater under St. Mark's in the West Village.
St.
Um,
Mark's. Okay, I went there to get. Well, no, I'm not going to tell you what I went to get. I'll tell you now because
in that neighborhood.
it seems worse. It seems worse. I was 13 years old and I went with some friends, so I went there. We went to get fake IDs and this girl got her belly pierced there. Yeah, so that's St. Mark's. That's the least shady part of St. Mark's. So this little
Yeah.
theater on St. Mark's. It was probably the St. Mark's Theater Company.
I was under St. Mark's
Oh.
Theater. And so it's an independent alternative theater company. And they were running a STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics theater festival. They have regular shows there every week. One of them is Naked Girls Reading.
Oh my God! You didn't invite me to this?
And so for the STEM Fest, of course, they were naked girls reading science.
This is going to be annual, right? The entire
Yes,
crew
they're
here is
planning on
upset.
doing it annually. So I'm hoping that we'll be back in New York next January.
Excellent.
to
We
do it
we will
again,
be
yeah.
there. The entire crew is cheering. You can't hear them because we have great microphones in here. They're cheering. The audience they want to be there too. They're like, "Where's their invite?"
We
Um,
won't be naked reading science, though. I don't do that. Other things that This Week in Science is planning on doing, we're going to start doing more short productions. So we
Mhm.
call them our twist shorts. They're short videos that are about 3 to 5 minutes long. We're also going to start an interview program talking to scientists and kind of digging in depth into what they're doing. Our hope is to grow the Twist Network into a group of shows that will be interesting to a wide array of people so that we can grow our audience and really be a science network online.
I love it. I really like that, and I think that's tremendous, and it's a great vision. I like that you're doing more events, and I like that you're building it into additional programming. And it's not, I mean, obviously it's not easy, but I know it'll be great, and it's the viewers and the people who want it. What are your thoughts about Martians, and about other life outside of the Earth?
Okay, Martians, little green men. It's fun fiction.
Yeah.
I won't even call it science fiction. It's just fiction. But
There's
the
no
whole
chance
idea,
that there's other life forms on in this universe or in
and
another
there
universe?
may even, there may be evidence that there once was some form of life. And when you say life form, it doesn't have to be a two-legged, two-armed, upright walking being. It could be a little tiny single-celled organism. So I am convinced that there is very likely life on other moons, planets in our solar system, even. Just in the last week, there have been a couple of discoveries of liquid water on moons around Jupiter and Saturn. So these are going to be places that we need to go explore and go find out whether life is there. And I don't mean fish swimming around, but little microbes.
Well, you know what? Thank you for telling me this because now I can sleep at night. I don't have to
I
worry
mean,
about a
there
green man.
might be, hyper intelligent or extraterrestrials out there somewhere, sure.
No.
But not in our solar system. They're
Don't
not like in our solar system hanging out and just haven't said hello. That's
don't
not
tell
happening.
don't tell me that. I don't need to know that. No, seriously, I'm the guy. I would be like, hi. People have told me they have ghosts in their house and they're like freaked out. I'm like, well, have you ever said hi? And they're convinced. The people who are convinced there's a ghost. And you go, have you ever said hi? And they're like, what? I'm like, well, I mean, why do you think
not?
that? Why
Say
not
hi
say
to the
hi?
ghosts.
Why not be friendly? How do you know the ghost wants to hurt you? Clearly, if there is a ghost, if you really believe that the ghost wanted to hurt you, you'd be hurt already. So why don't you say hi? And they're like, oh, I never thought of that. So that's what I would do. I'd be like,
Common sense, man. Common sense.
exactly. I'd be like, hey, what's up, aliens? How you doing? Welcome to the Be Terrific studio. So,
That's right.
you've been amazing. I know you got to run. Thank you so much for your time. I could talk to you all day. I'd love to tell you anytime you want to come on, you have to promote anything or you just want to come on and say hi, please do. Whenever we need something to check in about science, I'd love to talk to you about it.
Yeah, please do. Give me a call.
And you're great. You're phenomenal. Anytime you're in the New York metro area, please say hi. Please come by. Come in studio. We really would love that.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Cool.
This has been really fun. I've loved talking to you.
Thank you so much. And it has been. You're great. That's Dr. Kiki, everybody, from This Week in Science. You got to check out This Week in Science, 8 p.m. Pacific time, online. Just go to thisweekinscience.com. Is that correct? Did I get it right?
We do have thisweekinscience.com, twist.org, TWIS.org.
There you go. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with a whole lot more on the Michael Artsis Show right after this. At Be Terrific, we do a lot of events and bring you a lot of great coverage. But we need to spread the word about Be Terrific, and you guys do a great job of doing that for us. We really appreciate that. But to do it fully, we need branding. And when we do these events, we need to be able to set up quickly and easily and have a home base, to be able to create a set, protect our gear, and shield our talent from lights of the event we're in, so we can add our own lighting and hang our cameras. We've teamed up with EasyUp to do that for Comic-Con and going forward. They gave us a great shelter that takes no time to set up and also is toolless. It's phenomenal and it's reasonably priced. So whether you have a production company, a media house, or you want to just sell some products at an event, what you need is an EasyUp top. An EasyUp top is phenomenal. You can do all sorts of branding. You can add side rails like we have. You can add a back wall like we have. And you'll get aerial branding, on the ground branding, and a place to put all your stuff, protect your team, and call home. It's perfect. What you want to do is go to easyup.com. That's easyup.com. Talk to Wayne Dove. He's a sales guy there. He's amazing. He's become a good friend, and he took good care of us. He's the one who got us our tent. They've got great people there, they've got a great team, and they've got a great, rich, storied history. There's no better shelter, there's no faster shelter than EasyUp. It sets up in minutes, it's fire tested and fire rated, and it's fire retardant. They're really, really structurally sound, and they look beautiful. How could you beat that? Oh yeah, I forgot. They're reasonably priced. So that's the kicker. Go to easyup.com. Tell Wayne that Be Terrific sent you. They'll take good care of you, don't worry, and have your company represented well at your next event. And it only takes minutes to set up and break down and then set up again. Look how amazing it looks. I am so excited about this. Thank you, Easy Up.
Introducing a portable, solar-powered charging solution that moves at the speed of life. Family vacations, long road trips, in the airport, around campus, on the trail, the lake, or the links. The Duoflex puts the power of the sun in the palm of your hand. With a removable battery pack, dual configuration, and a weather-resistant, rugged design, the Duoflex fits every lifestyle and every activity. Freedom to live, to move, to play, to be fully charged.
Rode microphones are the official microphones of Be Terrific. Find out more at rodemic.com.
Welcome back to the Michael Artsis Show. I'm Michael Artsis. Thanks so much for joining us. That was Dr. Kiki. She's unbelievable from This Week in Science. And I got to thank Ben Rathig for hooking that up. He set that whole thing up. Great dude, great guy. And apparently he's still going to come to New York to apologize for the fact that he didn't think I could score on Brienne. So we'll have to make that happen as well. But I want to thank Ben. Thank you very much for setting that up. She was great. We had a lot of fun. Hopefully you did as well. We're running out of here today because we're going to have this on Monday. We're going to the Luxury Tech Show in New York City, and we're going to get some stuff there. Companies like Questron are there displaying amazing, unbelievable, very high-end home automation systems. And so we'll talk with some of these companies, and then, of course, we'll have some other content from there as well. So that'll be fun. And I think you guys liked the Stephen Baker thing yesterday. It seems like you did. We had a lot of fun playing video games with him, and then we went to dinner with him afterwards. It was a lot of fun, and he's just a great guy. I loved having the Lombardi Trophy on set. Amazing, right? The Lombardi Trophy on set. And we had fun playing video games. I want to play more. Like, I went home last night, and all I wanted to do was play PS4. I think I need to get a PS4 and Xbox this weekend and just start playing like a madman. Pete, do you have a PS4 or an Xbox or anything? Do you have an Xbox One? What about a 360 even, or a PS3? Do you have any of this stuff? It's been a while since I really got into this, but I was like a junkie last night. I was like fiending for it.
No, I had a 360, but it broke.
What? How did it break?
The 360s were fragile. Everybody had it broke. Like the ring of the red ring of death, I think they called it. And then after a while, it just dies on you.
Yeah. The red ring of death. Didn't we just talk about the fact there are no aliens? We're not getting a red ring of death. So you had the red ring of death, and then it just died on you?
Yeah. Pretty much anybody who has an Xbox 360, that's happened to.
Now you're making me think that I shouldn't get a Kinect and an Xbox One, and I was just this close. What did you like write a letter to Microsoft and say like this is unacceptable, refund me or give me a new one?
No, they knew it was a problem, so a lot of people just sent it back and they fixed it.
What did you just threw it out?
No, I fixed it. It came back, played it for a little bit more, and then something else happened, and then I threw it out.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I feel like I got to get one of these. Now, the thing is, though, I like the controller on the PlayStation 4 better, but I kind of like the idea of the Kinect. And the Kinect, you can do the Time Warner app, cable app, so you can get rid of your cable boxes, too. And you can be like, Xbox, put on Sports Center. How cool would that be?
Yeah, and Sony's, the PlayStation, they got the whole new
the camera
media service where it's like a television, I guess.
What? And then there's the Sling TV. I'm loving this Sling TV thing. I was watching ESPN last night live on my phone. You can watch it on your phone, your Kindle Fire. This thing is so worth $20 a month, I think.
Yeah, $20. I mean,
You could get rid of your cable for $20 a month, paying hundreds of dollars. You could just have it on every device. Every device. You could take your TV everywhere. How cool is that?
yeah, it's amazing.
And then you have the PlayStation. Do you have to pay for the PlayStation one?
I don't know. I probably.
That's the only thing. Like, I don't want to rack up a million subscriptions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. I really. Janny says his Xbox 360 still works. I know that Digital Phil's 360 still works because he's and Janny says he watches hockey from his Xbox 360. But I know that DP, because he says that he wants to play Rolly from Raw on the 360, not on the Xbox One. You know?
Yeah, when is that happening?
When is it happening? When is DP going to answer me? Digital Phil is like, every time I bring it up, he's like, he told me I should play him. I'm like, I'll play him, but you got to play him for a case. He's going to send you a case of Raw. You got to play him. I saw Rolly today. I had lunch with him. And then I ran back here because we're working on something cool with Raw. And Rolly was like, listen, I think the show went well. It was really great. He goes, I've been practicing. When is this guy? He goes, when is this guy going to play me? I said, I don't know. I'm working on it. And it makes us look bad, doesn't it? Because our viewers say they're going to do something, and we got to get them doing it. It's going to be fun. I'm like, I don't know. I don't have control over the audience. I love DP. Come on, DP. We got to get this going. How are we going to get this going? Ben says he's never played Xbox One, by the way, or Xbox 360. So do you think that the controller's too big on the Xbox? I had the original Xbox. I almost called that the Xbox One. And I felt that the controllers were a little bit big. That was the thing. And then in playing the PlayStation, those controllers feel nice. I had a PlayStation. I had a PS1 and a PS1. I had the PS1 and then like the little smaller PS1 that you could take with you places, I guess. What do you think?
I don't mind the controller.
Of the Xbox?
Yeah, it's all, I don't know. It's, what people prefer. They're both fine to me.
I feel like I got to do research on this. I can't just do it. I was so close the other day. I just want to jump in, but I feel like it's like, in my mind, it's like Nike or Reebok, CCM or Bauer skates. It's such a hard decision, and you're either an Xbox guy. But, I mean, we have the PlayStation here, so that's cool, and we want to have an Xbox here as well, especially for our video gaming shows. I just don't know which way to go. It's kind of crazy. I might go the Kinect route, though. I might go Xbox One because of the Kinect. But then the PlayStation has that camera, too. I like how the PlayStation streams to Twitch. Would it be cool if I streamed sometimes to Twitch from home? No, Jill wouldn't like that. She'd be like, listen, the audience doesn't need to see you without your clothes on playing a video game. Without a shirt on or something. I could put a shirt on, though. I could wear like this and play a video. How weird would that look if I dressed like this and played video games in bed?
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I don't have anywhere else to set it up in the house. So it'd have to be only here that I'm
Right.
streaming.
Well, just put on a shirt.
Thanks. I'm freaking you out now. Janny says the PlayStation controller's too small for him. All right. We're going to the luxury show, so that's going to be a lot of fun, the luxury tech show. I'm excited about that. We'll bring you some of that content on Monday, which will be cool. And then, Pete, we're running a rerun tomorrow, right?
That is correct.
All right. Do you know where we're doing what we're doing yet?
Nope.
You know. Okay, it'll be a surprise. I got this, by the way. This is really exciting. Do you guys remember watching me from Potbellies last Friday and the guy gave me one of these? This is a free sandwich from Potbellies. Well, I told you. I promised you. I said I'm going to go back to him and I'm going to get one more. His name was Zach. And I'm going to give this to a lucky viewer. So how about this? I want to give this away. I know that some people like D-Pro don't have a Potbellies in their area. Paul Dixon probably doesn't have one in his area either because that's the UK. And Jenny probably doesn't have one. But if you're watching from the United States of America and you would like a free sandwich from Potbellies, we are going to give you this if you answer a question. What's the question going to be, Pete? Do we have something?
No. I don't know.
All right. You cannot look this up online. This one's going to be an easy one. All right? You cannot look this up online. You have to tweet at BeTerrificTV who held the record for most home runs in a single season before it was broken by Mark McGwire, who held the home run record for single season home runs in Major League Baseball, and how many home runs and what year. How many home runs, who did it, and what year they broke the single season home run record They held it. They created it, whatever. And you get this. I will tell you the person before the person was Babe Ruth. That's your hint, I guess. I don't know if that's a hint, but that's knowledge. And this is your winning. You get a free sandwich. We'll mail this to you. At Be Terrific TV, let us know. Be the first to let us know. You win a free sandwich from Potbellies, courtesy of Zach. You got to love Potbellies. Great place. And thank you guys so much for watching. We're so excited. We'll see you on Monday. Tomorrow will be a rerun, but we'll see you live again on Monday. Until then, be terrific. I'm Michael Artsis. Thanks so much for watching.